Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Jeff, fan favorite, the fat fuck. Now, if you like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern, that's what we shoot for. We don't always get it. I was gone all last week. You guys may have noticed that. We'll address that here in the show, but hey, we try to. Or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications, and so you know when we're going live and when new episodes are dropping. Since those can be hit and miss sometimes, life happens. But we'll see you in the show. Love you all. Bye bye.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day.
I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I've left you guys a while back, or it's been a week since we've done one of these. I've had a rough week the last week. I had a new litter. It was with a mom who has shitty titties, as we say. So we had to work with her, and so I had to get up like every other hour. So most nights I was only getting a couple hours sleep, and then it was one of those weeks where if it was just that, I would have been able to get in some episodes here and there. I did get a paywalled episode in, I think. But I normally put out like 9 episodes or so a week, on a good week, it's usually around like 6-ish on a bad one. But I think I did like 1 last week. But if it was just the kitties that I had to get up with, that would have been one thing, but it was everything all at once. So sorry about that, but hey, life happens. I had like kids' sporting events. I had a car breakdown one day. It sounds like a lie, honestly, like when you break it all down, but it's the truth. Like it's one of those things where like, are you fucking kidding me? Everything's happening this week, and it did. So, but we got it all sorted now. We're back. Now the kitties are finally to where I don't have to get up in the middle of the night with them to help them. So they are self-sufficient with just occasional just popping in and taking care of things. So we're back, but we have plenty to go through with you guys today. We got, what do we got? Sorry, I'm trying to set up. By the way, if you see it on X, if you're on X and you see this, please help out and leave a like a repost. It's been something about the StreamYard to X interface right now is weird, so just help a brother out. It's being glitchy, so sorry if I was a little bit, being slow there in the intro. I was actually trying to retweet it on my own. It's being weird and not showing up correctly on the page, so I had to hunt it down. But anyways, sorry, we got plenty to go through today. As I said, I've been gone the past week. It really is. It was like, this was one, every now and then it's fine. I don't mind taking some time off in the morning dump, but it was like, this was game time. This was the full-on Epstein. Everything was popping off. It was full Epstein season, and that's when everything happens, and I go, I got to take a step back. But I think it might have worked out for the best because it's allowed me to be able to process some of this without chimping out too much. But with that though, we have in our first topic or segment of the day. Well, actually third. You guys know the format. We start out with the foreign policy. We start out with sorry, I'm a little rusty. It's been a week. I'm still a little tired, a little frazzled. But we start off with the Icebreaker content, which we got a little bit of that for you guys today. Then we get into the foreign policy. Then we get into the main segments. And the first segment being the Epstein class that shuts it down. There'll be a little bit of kind of like a recap of the past week and kind of where we're at now. Then we'll get into Bondi Blowout, which that comes with a little bit of a side of Lutnick, ludicrousness. With that one, we're going to be that's more of like a clip. That's a clip portion of the show. We'll be going through some of the ridiculous answers of Bondi and Lutnick, and kind of digging into some of the stuff surrounding that along the periphery. Because it's just too good. It's too good not to. I mean, especially with what this show is, with the Bondi stuff. There were some crazy clips that we got to go through together. Then we'll get into the multiple Ghislaine theory. We'll kind of maybe tie that into, like, is Epstein even dead? That sort of stuff. So we have some fun stuff to go through with you guys today. So it is like Epstein, wall to wall. But I don't know, maybe the next few days it'll get a little bit less. We'll get back into the flow of things. But I mean, it's been a crazy week with all the Epstein stuff, so we got to kind of cover all that. And as always, in between each segment, we'll pop into the chat, say our good mornings. I do want to remind you guys that this is on YouTube. I am monetized, so you guys, or recently, I was demonetized for a long time, so this thing's back. But you guys can leave super chats. So I do try to pop in and say good morning to everybody that's in the chat. But after that, and you gotta catch my eye, or you gotta catch my wallet if you catch my drift. So after that, after I've already said your obligatory good morning, I will, after that. I see you in the chat after that. Unless it's something that really catches my interest, then we're gonna likely keep it moving. So if you really want to make sure you cut through that noise, leave a super chat, or if you just want to really support the show, you got up in the top left-hand corner, we got the Patreon, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's where I have, I just counted this morning, I have 7 paywalled episodes right now. That's how bad I've been about publishing episodes. So I usually try to keep 4 behind there, and try to drop 2 public episodes and record 2 paywalled episodes per week, and just kind of, churn them out like that. But we've got a bunch behind the paywall right now. So if you guys want to support that, help. my downloads are definitely down after the past week, when it really was my time to shine. But hey, the family comes first, and all the other things. This isn't my priority. I do like you guys, but this is fun. But at the end of the day, life goes on, and I got to deal with life when life happens. So hey, here we are. But enough hemming and hawing. Let's go through our icebreaker type stuff first off. And then we'll get into foreign policy. But then we'll pop into the chat. Sorry, I'm still frazzled. Still a little frazzled. But let's roll through the Gen Pop. I got a couple Gen Pop things for you guys to go through. Starting off, in the aftermath of all this Epstein craziness, things are getting out of hand here. Apparently, Pokemon Go has officially removed the Pokestop at Epstein Island, which I don't know if that's a joke. That's got to be some sort of joke. Was there really... I mean, actually, this is informative, entertaining, and breaking news. I don't think they're, published. They're trying to be a parody site, the place that I got this story from. So I think that's legit. I guess there used to be a Pokestop on Epstein Island, which I don't know, maybe, to be fair, I mean, maybe all these dorks that were going there, a lot of them are tech nerds and stuff. So maybe there was some real, real Pokemon stuff going on there. I wonder if you could really get some, real legendary Pokemon in Epstein Island. I never got into the Pokemon Go craze. I was more of a blue, red, yellow kind of guy. I dabbled in the silver and gold, but never got into the Go. Anything past silver and gold, I think, is pretty gay. But I understand why Pokemon Go could be fun. I just had a wife, kids, stuff like that when it came out. I think it came out in my early 20s. So I mean, most people my age were playing it. So I was a little bit jealous that I was dealing with real life, but I wasn't able to walk through traffic looking for Mewtwo. But hey, who knows? Who knows what this is a cause? What now you can't get Pokemon wise? I don't know. Someone in the chat, break it down. Is this even meaningful at all? I don't know shit about it. Is there a possibility there's crazy legendary Pokemon on Epstein Island? Let me know. All right, next one. Apparently, a scientist gave himself brain damage by testing secret audio weapon on himself in an attempt to disprove Havana syndrome. So thanks for sharing that with me, Rage Child. Yeah, and speaking of retards destroying their bodies, let's check in on show favorite Clavicular. And I think I got to back off and kind of maybe give a little bit of concession on my thoughts for him. So let's watch this. Here's a short clip. Actually, give me 1 second. Of course, StreamYard's glitchy, so make sure I got the audio for you guys. Here we go. All right, let's play this. This is Clavicular working out, which apparently he is struggling to just rep out 135 through 3 reps. So let's watch this.
It's hiring a lawyer. I'll tell you that. Pretty G line. Get it, 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 get it. No.
There you go. Almost.
Fuck.
Was that 7?
It's hiring a lawyer.
Okay. Well, to be fair, I want to say people are sharing this and it says Andrew. This is a 17-second clip, and I will say this. It says Andrew Tate was shocked that Clavicular could only rep 135 pounds for 3 reps, despite him openly being on steroids. Now, I will say I haven't watched this. Is the first time I'm watching with you guys. This started midway through, so to be fair, I'm not sure. Let's roll through the replies. Maybe somebody gives him some ups here and says that was a lie. No, I'm not seeing anybody. Not that anyone really... Actually, here's a full clip. Actually, let's watch the full clip. Here we go. Here's a full one. Let's see how many he actually gets. This is a... I know it sounds gay that we're doing this, but I think it's important, and we'll get to why.
So, all right. As many reps as we can?
Many as you can.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Well, I already been working out, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that one was bullshit. Where are we at? 6, 7...
10. 13. 14. Line. Get it, 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 get it.
So,
Okay, you know what? I'm going to back off. I had a whole other thought process ready for this, but in the interest of fairness, I'm not going to dog on the kid too much. Because that's 17 reps. That's 17 reps at 135. That's not bad at all. Now, I will say, a little whack for someone who's saucing. So, I mean, it's a solid, but if you're on the sauce and you're not, I don't know, not up to maybe over 20 on 135, perhaps, I don't know, you shouldn't be on the sauce. But yeah, this is obviously whoever shared this initially was an asshole, because this went fairly viral, 20,000. That's why you guys need to always double check this stuff. That's why the show's great, because we do, dig into little dumb shit like this. But this was being shared around. Apparently, this clavicular fella could only rep 135 for 3 reps, despite him openly being on steroids, which we just busted that real quick. He did almost 20, which, okay, it's solid enough for an 18-year-old. Now, I still do have issues with the guy being on sauce, and I don't think he's... I don't think he has the... I don't really feel like he has the... I don't know, what am I trying to say here? The muscular intelligence with it where he's at to be messing with steroids. And I'm someone who has messed with steroids. I've been open with you guys about this. It was fun. I'd do it again, especially if I was in the right place. But it's a matter of being in the right place and also doing it correctly. I don't think we played any clips on this show. Apparently this dude is, according to him, sterile. And this is from his abuse of steroids. I'm kind of remembering offhand. I swear there was some clips I watched where he's talking about like he just stays on that shit or something. He's obviously using it improperly. But I'll show you the second half of this, though, that I did want to kind of zone in on. Here's a clip of Ziz for those of the old school meatheads will remember. And I think this is part of why I took a liking to this fella right off the jump, this clavicular guy. Is he reminded me of kind of the vibe of Ziz, but I think he's only a meme of Ziz where he's not the original, and I think that's kind of the problem here. This person, Vittorio, I think laid it out pretty well here. Says the biggest difference in the OG Ziz and the modern looks maxer is what moved them. One looked in the mirror and decided to be better. The other looked at other men and decided to copy. Ziz was a Faustian man building himself through discipline. For his own sake, the locus of evaluation is internal, masculine. The looks maxer does the opposite. Starts by staring at other men, measuring canthal tilts, obsessing over bone structure, then reaches for shortcuts, surgery, fillers, bone smashing, makeup, just to look better. The locus of evaluation is entirely external. He needs an audience to be validated. One comes from pursuit of value, one from jealousy, one is self-referential, one is comparison-based, very feminine, not the makeup per se, but the fact that your worth is always measured relative to someone else's face. One is a philosophy, one is a mockery of one. So it doesn't fit as well since I was teasing him for only repping 3 reps, 135. Apparently that was bullshit. But either way, I do think, between his rampant abuse of steroids. Now, I don't know enough about Ziz's. We're going to play a clip of his for those who aren't aware of him in a second. But I don't know enough about Ziz's routine or remember, how whether to what degree he was messing with steroids or this or that. But my impression of him is he does he did kind of seem like the gym bro that was like obsessed with getting into that. Like he was obsessed about making himself peak like aesthetic and like because he just wanted to better himself. Whereas the point of this look maxing thing is it's more of a we're trying to up our looks, and so we're getting like hyper, as they kind of point out, feminine. You're almost trying to copy the zizzes of the world, whereas the zizzes of the world are just doing their thing and fucking grinding and being awesome. And that is the difference between the two. But my point with like the steroids, I could see him being, I don't feel like he would be as retarded. I also think he's far more discipline-based, as they said here. I mean, he wouldn't be doing dumb shit like smashing himself in the face with a hammer. But here's a little blast in the past of Ziz for those who want to remember a little nostalgia, the good old days. Here's Ziz being a fucking beast. I'm pretty sure there's videos and photos of him later, though. These things are early Ziz. I'm pretty sure he was way fucking more yoked than this later. But, yep, the OG looks maxer. The rest are just copiers, and that's why they're gay. Let's roll to the chat, say good morning, and then we'll get into the foreign policy stuff of the day. Let's check in with y'all, see how y'all are doing. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Daz. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, OG Batsa Balls. Good morning, Ray and Cap. Wanting me to show cat? I already did. I already showed my pussy. Good morning, Fat Cats. Good morning, Terror Gang NPC. Good morning, Wambito. Saying, oh, there was plenty of poking men going on. Not sure what that's in reference to. I'm sure I said something that made that make sense earlier. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Saying, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Fire Pixie. Happy birthday to you. Good morning, Michael Manifesto. Good morning. Giving a happy birthday to Pixie. Same from Wambito again. Happy birthday to everybody. And Wambito's birthday was on Saturday, so happy birthday, you Aquarian. Good morning, Cabeza. Saying I was doing 135 to 205 as a high school freshman. Yeah. Matza Balls says 225 was warm-up weight at 18 with no juice. Yeah, exactly. Let me see what else we got in here. Trend cycle, says Scott. Yeah, he knows the old magic. Good morning, Jorge. Says, have you seen the Mind Unveiled videos and the Epstein research? He went to the genetic side of it and it panned out. He hit a jackpot. I don't know specifically what you're getting into. With the Mind Unveiled videos and the Epstein research, he went to the genetic side of it. I don't know who Mind Unveiled. I mean, maybe I've watched this clip and I just didn't know it was from him. I've definitely looked at plenty of Epstein files and clips and videos and, this and that of kind of going into some of the weird research stuff he was getting into. I don't know what you mean by it panned out. He hit a jackpot. So, but as always with you guys, if there is anything, probably a good 40% of the content that we're going to go through today was listener recommended. I try not to spend too much time on Twitter, so if you guys are on there, help a brother out. If you guys see content that you think's worthy of the show, tag me in it, and you guys become producers of the show as a result. So if you're on Twitter or whatever, feel free to tag me in that, and maybe we'll cover that. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. We're going to kind of probably more surface level it today, not get into too kooky, into the jerky, pizza, grape soda, all that stuff today. Probably more keep it serious, kind of going. But I'm sure we will process some of that stuff at some point. So definitely tag me in that. Good morning, user Chathead says that's why it's gay. Yes, good. All right, let's get to some foreign policy, and then we'll get into some more good mornings. Be sure to hit that like button as you're coming in. Help a brother out. Also, you're on Twitter, repost, all that good stuff. Let's get into some foreign policy stuff. Pretty short today. It's been pretty chill on the foreign policy front as of late, although I think it is boiling up to some serious stuff here. And we will get into that. For example, here's Lindsey Graham doing the warmongering, as he is apt to do. This is from Israel on Monday. Lindsey Graham pushed for a U.S. war against Iran while acknowledging that U.S. soldiers in the region could get hit by Iranian counterattacks, a risk he said was worth it. How valiant of him. Could our soldiers be in the region? Absolutely they could. Can Iran respond if we have an all-out attack? Absolutely they can, he said in a press briefing at the David Kempinski Hotel in Tel Aviv. The senator also said that the U.S. decision on potential military action against Iran is weeks away, not months, and described Israel as a place where the wars of the future are being planned. Don't you know it? All signs indicate that if the U.S. bombs Iran, Tehran will not hold back in its response or provide the U.S. with a warning ahead of time, as it did before launching retaliatory missile strikes on the U.S.'s Ayudid air base in Qatar following the U.S. airstrikes on its nuclear facilities, which, fun fact, that's where I was deployed in 2015 in the Air Force. So, weird world. And it was super duper safe. The only concern was that, oh yeah, Iran could touch us if they wanted to. But we'll never have to worry about that. We're never going to go to war with Iran, right? I'm so glad I'm not in the military anymore. Which, I mean, I guess that's kind of sad. But, so any of my buddies in there, sorry. I hope you don't get deployed to Ayudid. Many U.S. bases and warship are in range of Iranian missiles, leaving open the possibility of thousands of U.S. casualties if Iran goes all out with its response. I think the risk associated with that is far less than the risk associated with blinking and pulling the plug and not helping the people as you promised. I didn't promise anybody shit, to be clear. We told them to go back in the street. We told him to go back in the street, keep protesting, help was on the way. We have to be good to our word, Graham said, referring to President Trump's threats to bomb Iran and recent major protests in the country. You know, ironically forgetting about our stuff going on with ICE stuff. Elsewhere in his remarks to the press, Graham claimed the U.S. and Israel are on the verge of eliminating the largest state sponsor of terror in the region, a reference to the Iranian government. Graham met with Netanyahu ahead of the press conference and delivered a message for the Israeli leader about Israel's relationship with the UAE. This is what Graham had to say. He says, Bibi wanted me to tell the press that he's amazed by the level of cooperation and significance of the partnership of the United Arab Emirates. Graham said, adding that he was traveling to the UAE and Saudi Arabia following his visit to Israel. At the top of his press conference, Graham said he visits Israel every 2 weeks, an extraordinary frequency for a U.S. senator to visit a foreign country. I'm back. I come here every 2 weeks, whether I need to or not, he told reporters. That's fucking insane. That they would proudly just go, yeah, I go to Israel back and forth every 2 weeks. I don't even think Graham's even a Jew, right? I mean, he's just some southern boy. So that is insane, even for Graham. But I think this seems pretty relative, or seems related. Here's a text exchange between Epstein and Bannon. Figured you guys might get a kick out of this one, and seems pretty relevant to what we're talking about. It says, but if you are the president and you get vast riots, how do you balance strength and calm? Oh, wait, never mind. This is an email. I got to start from the bottom. I'm an idiot. It says, unless he launches a foreign intervention, that's a good way how to unite the nation. That's, I'm not sure which, is that Jeff or is that Bannon? Anyways, then it goes, unless he launches a foreign intervention, that's a good way how to unite the nation. It says, that's the $1 million question. Ideally, you don't get yourself into such situation. Now he has to choose between two bad options, but he showed weakness and he won't be able to be strong anytime soon. It says, that's the $1 million question. Ideally, you don't get yourself into such situation. Now he has to choose between two options, but he showed weakness and he won't be able to be strong anytime soon. It says, but if you are the president and you get vast riots, how do you balance strength and riots? What the fuck? I'm just realizing, okay, well, that's weird. Here it says right here, power mapping says breaking text exchange between Epstein and Bannon, where they're talking about what Trump should do if he's faced with vast riots, and Bannon's like, launch a foreign intervention. That's a good way to unite the nation. Did I miss that? Oh, I'm retarded. I don't know if I accidentally, somehow that went in one ear and out the other, or I didn't say it. So yeah, unless he launches a foreign intervention, that's a good way how to unite the nation. So yes, the context here, the back and forth, they're talking about riots. How do we deal with it? How would Trump deal with this if there were riots in the streets, which we kind of don't really have? I mean, I guess some of the anti-ICE people are getting a little bit uppity, but despite the fact that they're basically pissing in our mouth. It doesn't seem like there's really a whole lot of response from the people yet, but not yet. We'll see. I think this thing's, I know, it'll be interesting to see how these things play out. Just because we don't have riots in the street right now doesn't mean it won't get weird later. And honestly, I think riots are usually actually largely kind of unproductive. I mean, maybe at least for the initial, like, to make some sort of catalyst for change, they're good. But almost probably the vast majority of the time, yeah, you're like, cool, catalyst for change. But you're like, change to what? Like, usually the change gets co-opted to some degree. So, you know, I'm trying to think of some examples that come to mind. But, God, what was it? What was the one they say they all start out this? The nerds on Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, how that kind of got co-opted. It was like the lefties and actually some of the righties staying together, and then the next decade became like the weird decade of the woke, and all the lefties got sidetracked with gay little racism and all the isms, and so yeah, it was a catalyst for change, but what did it exactly do? Kind of looked like ended up fucking us over. But that's my point. Riots seem to almost, always, end up being counter to whatever the ends you actually are purported to want. So yeah, I'm definitely not calling for riots at all. But interesting. They're saying, hey, if we do get those riots, what should we do? I don't know, go to war. Which looks like Netanyahu's getting ready to try to do that again here soon in Gaza, as we've kind of anticipated for a long time. They've been kind of hemming and hawing with Hamas over disarming, and I guess now they're giving them a 60-day deadline and until shit pops back off again, as if it hasn't really been popping off in the meantime. It has. But an aide to Netanyahu said on Monday that Israel will give Hamas a 60-day deadline to disarm, and if it doesn't, Israel will restart its full-scale bombing campaign in Gaza. Israeli Cabinet Secretary Yossi Fuchs said at a conference in Jerusalem that it was unclear when the 60-day deadline would begin, but suggested it could start on Thursday when the so-called Board of Peace holds its first official meeting in Washington. Trump is convening the U.S.-led board as Israel continues constant ceasefire violations in Gaza, where the IDF has killed more than 600 Palestinians since the truce deal was signed in early October. Well, I mean, by the time the 60 days are up, they might be damn near 1,000. Fuchs said that the Trump administration had asked Israel to give Hamas 60 days to disarm, and we are respecting that. After Trump and Netanyahu met at Mar-a-Lago in Florida at the end of December, media reports said they agreed on a 2-month deadline for Hamas to disarm. Hamas has ruled out the idea of disarming without a path toward a Palestinian state, though some Hamas officials have suggested the idea of freezing the group's weapons or placing them under the control of an Arab force. The New York Times reported that the U.S. was considering a draft plan that would allow Hamas to keep some of its small arms, but Netanyahu rejected that idea on Sunday. The Times of Israel previously reported that if Israel restarts its full-scale bombing campaign in Gaza, the attacks are liable to be more intense and more widespread than previous rounds, as Israeli forces will no longer be constrained by the presence of hostages on Gazan soil. Which, I know, this does seem like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, Hamas is trying to find a way to where they can oblige, but if they do actually oblige and disarm, I mean, for anyone who's been paying attention, especially to minutiae as we have on this show, let's be real. They're fucked if they do, they fucked if they don't. I mean, they're probably better off keeping their arms and dealing with whatever Israel's going to do, because let's be real, most of us here probably think that if they give up their arms, then it's just going to make it so that they roll over Gaza even easier, and they're probably going to find some reason to pick things back up again anyways. That way they can continue their ethnic cleansing and force more people out. And without an armed entity in the region, it'll make it all the more easier for them. Now, is that some sort of endorsement of Hamas from me? No, not necessarily. It's just the cold recognition that is an armed entity that has some semblance of a want for the people in that region to do okay. I mean, most of them's the family and stuff. So, I mean, obviously, I'm sure they do all sorts of horrible things as well. But this is they want a Palestinian state, and they also don't want all these people kicked out of the region. Those things kind of go hand in hand. And if they no longer exist as an armed entity, it kind of makes it all the more easier for Israel to roll out what they want to do. And finishing off foreign policy, we're still killing over in Somalia, so that's cool, I guess. AFRICOM announced on Friday that its forces launched an airstrike in Somalia on February 13th, so just right before Valentine's Day. Little love letter. Targeting the ISIS affiliate in the northeastern Puntland region, marking at least the 31st airstrike in the country this year. So we're at 31 in mid-February. I think they're on track to even beat the previous year's record, which was an over double, I think, record from the previous Trump record, which I forget which year that was. And even then, I'm pretty sure it was like, I think it was like all of the previous president. No, it was like whatever. Anyways, it's astounding. And they're still going. So AFRICOM offered no details on the strike other than saying it was launched about 30 miles southeast of the Gulf of Aden port city of Bosaso in a remote mountain region where the U.S. has been backing local Puntland forces against ISIS fighters based in caves. So specific details about units and assets will not be released to ensure continued operation security, the command said. AFRICOM stopped sharing casualty estimates and assessments on potential civilian harm for Somalia airstrikes back in the first half of 2025 when it dramatically escalated the U.S. air war. Other recent U.S. airstrikes in Somalia targeted al-Shabaab in the south, where the militant group and U.S.-backed federal government forces have been engaged in heavy clashes. The U.S. has been fighting against al-Shabaab since it first emerged following a U.S.-backed Ethiopian invasion of Somalia in 2006, and the ISIS affiliate got its start in 2015 as an offshoot of al-Shabaab. Despite the frequent U.S. airstrikes in Somalia, the air war receives virtually no media coverage in the U.S. We're working to fix that here. President Trump oversaw 124 airstrikes in Somalia in 2025, breaking the previous annual record of 63. Oh, they didn't quite double it. They were 2 away from doubling it, which he set during his first term in 2019. This year, the U.S. is on track to break the 2025 record if it maintains the current pace, though strikes appear to have slowed since January when the U.S. launched 26 airstrikes in a single month. All right, let's roll through chat. That's all for foreign policy we got today. Let's roll through, see what you guys got to say. And then we'll get into our first topic of the day, the Epstein class shutting it down. So let's see what all you guys got to say. Oh, geez, nobody talking in the chat. Quiet chat today. Quiet chat. Okay, whatever. Nobody wants to do good mornings. I get it. All right, let's get into the first topic then, I guess. Oh, there's Tilla. We got one popping in last second. Good morning, Tilla. This is Guten Morgen, Marcy Night Church of Christ.org. Yeah, go check that out if you want to be a based religious person, I guess. And then that's the way to go. Liz, I know we've talked about this. I think I still actually have another one of those. That's one of the ones behind the paywall. If for those who enjoyed my episode with Tilla right here in the chat that we had a while back on Marcionism, then go check out Patreon. Go check out the Patreon because I have something like 7 paywalled episodes, and one of them is another episode where we went a little bit deeper into Marcionism. So go check that out. Give me money. Good morning, Marnamat. Good morning. Michael saying, we have missed you, Jose. Hope you're good. I am doing all right. I'm doing okay. Still a little tired, a little frazzled. Had a crazy tired week. But I got back. I even got a workout in today, so that's good. So I'm back into it. I think I need 1 or 2 more days of a good night's rest, and I'll just be back locked in where I was. So, but just one of those weeks where I just was scrambling all over the place. I was only getting 4 hours of sleep a day because I was having to get up every other hour to feed kitties. So, hey, life happens. This is what happened when you got little babies. I got some little baby kitties. But hey, it happens. But let's go through the, one second, what's we got here? Here's good morning, Phobes. Good morning. That's Glowy Boys on Twitter. I did not know that. Cool. You appreciate it. I see you sharing content with me on the show, so that's cool. All right, let's get into the latest in Epstein world, the Epstein class. Let's check in on old Donald. Let's see how he's taken the news. Let's hear him.
President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them get anything that's credible. I would say let them have it.
Now, for the audio listeners, you may not have caught something. We're not going to hone in this too much. There's been plenty of people who've done this plenty. You can see me right here. Like, as far be it from me to give anyone's shit for laughing at inappropriate times or chuckling. That is kind of my default in awkward situations. And also, I've laughed at some of the most fucked up things. But Howard Lutnick here, you can see just giggling. Oh, just crazy Epstein stuff. But this is a common theme. Go check. There's been a few people I've seen who've done this side-by-side videos. I'm sure you guys can find them yourself if you've not seen them already. This little piece of shit just giggling at everything anytime Epstein's name comes up. Which, I mean, while I say, I do say, like, I am, like, I awkwardly laugh. If I had gone to Pedo Island and, like, every time it came up, I would just be straight-faced. Like, be like, for those who did time in the military, when you're like, there's details to be given out and you're in formation, you don't want to be too aloof. You don't want to be like, you're avoiding the person. So you maybe glance at their eyes real quick, like the person who's giving out work, but then you kind of just act normal. Like, you got to find a perfect balance. You don't want to act too like, because if you are like staring at him, he's like, oh, clearly you want to do the shit cleaning detail today, huh? And you're like, fuck. Now, if you're one avoiding him, you're like, then they're going to be like, come on, dude, get in the shit cleaning details. You got to find the balance. Lutnick just takes the third path, just busts through that third door and just fucking giggles every time. I'm a giggler. You guys know this. I giggle. I giggle quite too much. I giggle when it's not appropriate. It's lots of giggling. But I still think I would. I'd reduce my giggling if I was Howard Lutnick. But whatever. This is the gall of these people. And let's listen to Massey. I thought this was a particularly little bass video, so let's watch this together. I think you guys will get a kick out of this one. But this has been Massey's, one of his recent takes on this. Of course, StreamYard's gay. Give me a second. 1 second. Literally one tab over and StreamYard poops out. Here we go. Let's try this again.
You're not going to vote your way out of this. I'm trying not to become apathetic and subscribe to the memes that say you're not going to vote your way out of this. But I want to point out that you voted for 4 different administrations, and they're all part of the cover-up. So this goes back to the light sentence in 2007. That was the original DOJ, the original Attorney General, the original U.S. Attorney who cut this deal with Epstein, which we still don't know why they cut the deal. And so this is bigger than Watergate. If Watergate changed your perception of government, this should definitely do the same. This is bigger than Iran-Contra because those only happened within one administration. This spans 4 administrations and even higher number of attorneys general. And it's disgusting. And what you should know is it's a big club and you're not in it. And if somebody campaigns on something like releasing the files and they get in office and they could change their view 180 degrees, maybe they have failed in their mission to drain the swamp. Maybe they've become part of the swamp.
So it's kind of cool. We're seeing Massey slowly but surely, even more and more so, just straight up saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, he kind of already basically has this point, saying essentially calling Trump and his lackeys basically part of the swamp at this point. But it gets worse, people. It gets worse. Apparently, it looks like now we've covered this on the show, and the recent drop, I think they even admitted, or they straight up have basically kind of said that, like, oh, we still have, this is, I can't remember, was it 3.5 million that supposedly fell in this recent drop? I forget the exact amount, but it was kind of like, oh, we dropped this, and there's still more, there's still like a couple million or something or whatever. There's still a shitload, this is still like, you still only have maybe around 50-ish% supposedly. So that makes you, especially with all the crazy stuff that dropped in this recent batch, it makes you wonder, like, okay, well then what the fuck is in that other shit? I think they supposedly said that, like, oh, we're not gonna do some of that because open investigations or something, which I don't even remember what investigations are currently open right now. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, it was like some sham nonsense that clearly got opened for the purpose of saying we have an open investigation, but whatever, I digress. So there's still millions, and even then, with the current group that we have, there's still issues with the redactions and being pursuant to the law, so it's a whole fucking clusterfuck, but it gets worse. So my kind of what I was driving at there is that, like, openly admitted by the powers that be multiple times has been that, like, hey, we're maybe roughly around half. There's still millions of other files that are, supposedly supposed to be dropped according to this law. And they're not. I think Todd Blanche already said they weren't going to, but, it was kind of like, I think some people are kind of thinking maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But it looks like even that figure might be even a fraction of what there actually is. Let's watch this clip together, let them break down to you, and you guys kind of make up your mind for yourself. Here's a Channel 4 News that's essentially, I guess they did some work, and they're of the belief that we're around only 2% released. So let's watch this. Let me know what you guys think.
A Channel 4 News today was all those pictures, emails, videos and messages released by the Department of Justice, said to be over 3 million pages, may amount to just a fraction of the Epstein material obtained by investigators.
Why do we think that? Because these raids on Epstein's properties, his Florida mansion in 2005 and his fancy New York townhouse and sprawling luxury island in 2019, saw dozens of devices, computers, hard drives and servers bagged and tagged and brought to FBI offices for examination. Now, emails examined by Channel 4 News show investigators discussing those very devices. From the earliest stages, investigators were talking about Epstein's data totaling many, many times what has so far been released. In June 2020, one wrote, "We expect the data to be somewhere around 20 to 40 terabytes," noting that the total capacity of the devices was up to 50 terabytes. Then, as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. To put that in context, it is almost 15,000 gigabytes. But now, a year on from that, the total data released, claimed to be some 300 gigabytes, accounts for just 2% of the total Epstein data that officials were discussing just last year. Under the Epstein Act, DOJ attorneys had to look through all files to find any responsive material that related to Epstein, his networks and crimes. They claimed that 6 million pages had been identified, including duplicates. They released over 3 million. Both those numbers are tiny compared to the amount collected, according to today's emails.
All right, so you heard it there. Apparently going into looking at some of the information, and they were break down through the files that there was way more than they thought. I'll give this a little retweet for those who want to go check out more on your own. But hey, looks like, though, I guess maybe not that other like crazy percentage that's just magically missing, the terabytes upon terabytes, as opposed to the gigabytes that we got. Apparently, though, I guess they dropped the rest of it. The supposed purported stuff that we knew of. I guess they dropped it all, according to Alex Jones. Let's hear what he had to say. This was him on the Fresh and Fit podcast. Ecstatic that, hey, fucking Bondi and Trump doing the right thing, dropping it all.
This morning, he said, "You're all fired." This is people in the meeting.
Wow.
He said, "You're all fired." He said, "I want." By the way, behind the scenes, Trump used to cuss some. He also you see when he's hoarse, he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm screaming." He said, "Listen, motherfuckers, I'm sick of being tied to this shit. I'm the one that dropped the dime on him 18 years ago." He goes, "You're all fucking fired if it isn't fucking released. Do you Fucking understand me. They released the whole list of anybody in his files. They released 3 million more files, and Trump said, I will fire every goddamn one of you. Because they came to him and said, sir, they say your wife's a hooker. All this stuff that was all recycled from 9-10 years ago, which I said it was, and it came out. They said his wife's a hooker. We're Epstein. That wasn't true. He had a modeling agency that she was at. She wasn't at that. So they were fucking with him and telling him, you don't want to do this. They tricked him, and now Trump went thermonuclear. He finally listened to us. He finally listened to Roger Stone and others, and this is historic. And I'm told Congressman Tim Burchett and others have said, they have already been access to this, okay? And they said, if you think the Satanism and the cannibalism and the blood drinking is bad in what you saw before, they said what is in these new files is going to shake everybody. And they warned you, don't even look at it if you don't want to have nightmares.
All right, this isn't the only place he said it. He also later, or it might have been before, I'm not quite sure. He also did a little stream of his own. Let's watch this.
This is Saturday night, February 14th. 2026, and I got a Valentine's present for all of America and the world that wants truth, and to bring down the globalist death cult. Tonight, Pam Bondi released the other 3 million total Epstein files. Still, some of the names are redacted, but Congress can go in and look at all of them themselves. This is a gigantic victory. If you thought the first half was devastating, my sources in Congress and the White House say it is even far worse, exponentially what you're about to see. Total Satanism, devil worship, genetic engineering, granting children to their stem cells, all these top Hollywood actors, all these top Democrats, senators, House members, billionaires. You saw Bondi on Thursday say, listen, this will bring down the stock market if we bring this out. I'm not defending her saying that. I said a year ago, the sources said Trump was told, if you release this, it will literally bring down everything. But now they try to attach it to him. He's doing the right thing. He ordered everything released. Massive pressure has been put on the president. I've put a lot of pressure on the White House, and a lot of you have as well. And Trump has never been involved. But by extension, he became part of the cover-up. And a lot of his top supporters, including myself, came out and said, you got to stop. You got to reverse this now. But the deep state's going to pull some major crap now, okay? So just get ready. It's going to be extremely dangerous. But the files are now out as of about 2 hours ago. About to do a live special podcast that I'll be posting here in the next couple hours with some special folks here in Miami. So look for that at Real Talk Shows on X as we go through all of this. But this is so huge. And again, Lutnick and others had lied to Trump, said we don't know and we didn't go to the island. Trump talked about that yesterday, said I didn't know. I was told this wasn't the case. He is, I'm told, royally pissed and is getting ready to axe a whole bunch of people in the administration that lied to him about this, not that are really involved in any meaningful way. I'm not defending the Republicans. We've always known 99% of this was Democrats. I kept asking why then is Trump helping cover it up? He's doing a self-inflicted wound. But hey, how you doing, brother? God bless you. God bless you, man. A lot of great. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, they just released the rest of the Epstein files.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great news.
All right. You want to get a selfie?
Sure. Let's get a selfie in just a second.
All right.
So I'm just shooting a real fast. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is so historic what's going down. God bless you all. It's a great Valentine's present for humanity and the victims. Let's keep pushing. Humanity's winning. We're on the march. The empire's on the run. The answer to 1984 is 1776. Look for more.
I can't believe he's still signing off with the answer to 1984 is 1776 in this moment where it's like the fucking God, what we have? We literally have jackbooted thugs murdering fucking civilians in the streets, going door to door, building his FEMA camp detention centers. He fucking freaked out about the sitting president, probably implicated in crazy next level pedophile rings, possible human eating, and yet here he is stumping for the regime. Resolution 1984, 1776. Okay, dude. Well, by the way, I guess that's all bullshit. Everything he just says is bullshit, which is astounding. Absolutely. This is one of those things where you're like, how? Like, even if you're like the next level shill of the, like, like, they're this desperate. They're just hoping that, like, people can lie and just no one's going to verify it. And, like, what the fuck? This is all bullshit. I'll get into it in a second. But I do want to point out real quick one thing I noticed that I didn't catch the first time I watched this is he did make a point to be like, oh, just so you know, Trump's getting ready to axe some people over there. He's really pissed about Bondi and Lutnick. And, like, he did make reference to Lutnick, at the very least. The Lutnick thing, I think he definitely made reference to, so keep that in mind. That's important. We're going to cover some stuff today, but especially Bondi and Lutnick, and this idea that, oh, supposedly Trump's mad at these people. Just keep that in the back of your mind. That's going to be important. So supposedly he's getting these behind closed doors. He's somehow getting sources from him. He's getting sources. He's got sources within sources telling him this stuff. So supposedly he knows some shit. But yeah, this is all bullshit. All entirely bullshit. As Ian Carroll points out here, says this is not true. Says I've gotten so many fucking messages asking about this because of people like Alex posting shit like this. No files were released, and Alex's name was on the list that was released, along with Marilyn Monroe and Janis Joplin. Alex has become one of the most unserious people on the internet. It's sad to watch, which Ian is correct. He is correct here. And there's also a community noted here. Says this is a complete lie. The DOJ simply released a statement with a list of names associated with Epstein in the files. There hasn't been a single new file released since the batch in late January 2026, which still includes heavy redactions. So nothing is so. Now, where did they get this from? If we're going to try to find the tiniest bit of, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously he lied, though. Like, I don't really know how you get out of the fact that he lied, because he's basing this off of supposedly having inside information and yada, yada, yada. And, oh, Trump's out here saying, oh, I'm gonna fire you. I'm gonna fucking fire you, and I'm gonna fucking fire you. And we're just supposed to believe this is some real thing that happened, that he's, this, like, made-up scenario is supposedly going on. But I guess if we're going to find some shred of, like, how the fuck does Alex Jones even get to a position where he's saying this? I mean, maybe he's just doing the absolute sloppiest of fucking work possible, which, I mean, I've even within this Epstein stuff, I've fallen for some things here and there, but it's a different level when you're like, let me tell you what, brother, I got some inside sources and yada, 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 and you're doing it on your fucking show. I mean, when I say I've been got a couple times, it even then was like, not really a got, but it'd be like, well, I kinda, like, I roasted Michael Tracy the other day. God, what was it? There was this one photo that legit looked like child porn. It was, like, all redacted out, and I was like, I quote tweeted him. I was like, oh, it's like a quote tweeted a meme of Michael Tracy, and I was like, well, how do we know it's not an emaciated midget or something like that? I said, and then come to find out, it actually was. I guess someone was able to Google image search the thing, minus the redactions or whatever, and they were able to, like, oh, this is an exact match for, like, an of age porn of some, like, 19-year-old who did porn or something, and apparently this is. But it's one of those specific ones where, like, let's be real, like, the niche that they are in is to look like children. So, I mean, it really, I was just making fun of Michael Tracy. It wasn't even really me taking, I guess, a strong, definitive state on the specific factual. It really was more just teasing Michael Tracy for the fact that he's so dismissive of literally everything, even when it looks pretty. I mean, it not even looks when it's like, dude, come on. Which we'll get. We'll get into it. We've already plenty on the show covered stuff that's like, come on, Michael, come on. But yeah, so I've fallen for some stuff, but this is some next level. Like, how do you even get here? Well, apparently a bunch of influencers have done this. I guess it's funny. I've made a point as of late to, I don't know, kind of. I guess it's been a little bit of a talking point of mine that the current influencer class has, oddly enough, made the establishment media of the past kind of come back into prominence, or at least I guess maybe a feeling of nostalgia, where they're like, oh shit, that was actually probably kind of better. And here's an example of this. So here is I'm going to show a clip to you guys. I guess I'll probably have to read it since we have audio listeners here. But it shows a bunch of different tweets that went out and how they all kind of match up. So it looks like these guys are probably in some sort of group chat. They're probably getting releases, semi-official releases from the government as well, and then kind of making their own versions, which is still astounding. Like that one video we played a second ago, he was like, oh, this happened 2 hours ago. And it's like, you haven't even... I get maybe you have some sort of, some sort of unofficial statement from the administration or something. But then to like run with that and to not even check it 2 hours later after it supposedly dropped, and you haven't even had anyone verify it, that seems pretty wild to me. But either way, kind of what I was getting at, I guess, with what I was getting at with the idea of the establishment media. One thing that would come up quite frequently would be like when the next new thing happened, whatever the thing was that the I don't know, like COVID, like 2 weeks to stop the spread, or was it 6 feet or 7? Damn, I'm like stuck in that 6-7 nonsense. But whatever the distance you were supposed to keep from people, like whatever that mindless nonsense that would get repeated, particularly by the media, and you would notice they would always a lot of times use the same exact words. It was like, maybe it's just a groupthink thing, but sometimes it'd be like, this is too over the top. Like they are clearly getting messaging passed down. And it looks like the same thing has happened with this group. Here's ANCAP Air saying both left and right influencers do this, and they both call each other out when the other does it. Everything is fake, gay, and retarded. Here's Diligent Citizen, who noticed some commonality between some of these people. Said state media Epstein propaganda network exposed. All within an hour or so, Conning Shills put out verbatim, apparently scripted talking points about the Epstein files. All exact same words. Backfired bigly. Bill Clinton busted. Vindication. The new media is bought. So here you go. So Alex Jones, kaboom, just in. AG Pam Bondi just unleashed the full Epstein files on the Transparency Act. All 3.5 million pages dropped. Redactions justified only for victims, and high-profile names exposed with zero cover-ups for embarrassment or politics. No records withheld or redacted based on embarrassment, reputational harm, or public sensitivity to any official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. This backfired bigly in the left. Powerful Dems like Bill Clinton mentioned 1,193 times, and others busted, while fake smears against Trump called out as BS. Vindication for Trump. Here's Eric Doherty. Breaking. AG Pam Bondi just announced the DOJ has released all Epstein files under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, has justified redactions and listed high-profile names that appear in the files. No records were withheld or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including to any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. Epstein has backfired on the left. Multiple powerful Democrats have been exposed, and Trump has been vindicated. See, you seeing these? Noticing the repeated words, themes. Gunther Eagleman, just in. AG Pam Bondi just unleashed the full Epstein files under the Transparency Act. All 3.5 million pages dropped. Redactions justified only for victims, and high-profile names exposed with zero cover-ups for embarrassment or politics. No records withheld or redacted based on embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity to any official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. This backfired bigly in the left. Powerful Dems like Bill Clinton mentioned 1,193 times, and others busted, while fake smears against Trump called out as BS. Vindication for Trump. It's like damn near a complete repeat of, and I'm sure there's more, but those are some of the big three. But yes, it's a very common theme. They're all just kind of copying the same shit. Now let's dig into this. The purpose of the show, Morning Dump, is when we it's an info dump. We dig through the info, we sift through it. We sometimes will read articles, the original documents of different things that people are talking about. So we're going to do just that. What was actually released by the DOJ? That's what we're going to go through here. Here is the letter that went out that supposedly everyone jumped on as if this was. So it seems like I would surmise that some Trump administration official or some lower level person in these group chats is dropping semi-official releases, or here, this is where we're at, and they probably legitimately. I mean, maybe they lied to him, or maybe they told them what the deal was. It's kind of astounding that they would just fall on their sword like this. But I have a feeling that the administration literally lied to them. That would be my guess. Or they're just that cucked that they, or that blackmailed, or that whatever each given person is. I don't know, because I don't know how you see this as like this is crazy. I mean, I can't really wrap my head around just how is someone like an Alex Jones or somebody doing this. It's just insane, really. Like, I really think what must have happened is the administration must have lied to them in some like group chat, gave them some, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what you guys should say, here's our release, and then in reality, what really happened is they dropped this letter. So, okay, let's go through it. Let's just try to process how the hell. So here's the letter that they put out at that exact same time. So the thing that actually happened was this, a 6-page letter. So here we go. Here's the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of the Deputy Attorney General, that's Todd Blanche, for those who don't know. This is February 14th, 2026. This is listed to a few Chairman Chuck Grassley, Chairman Jim Jordan, Ranking Member Dick Durbin, Ranking Member Jamie Raskin. So these are some of the people on the different committees relevant to this. RE, Epstein Files Transparency Act, Section 3 report to Congress. Section 3 of the Epstein Files Transparency Act requires the Department of Justice within 15 days of completing the release required under the Act to submit to the House and Senate Committee on the Judiciary a report listing all categories of records released and withheld, a summary of redactions made, including legal basis, and a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the release materials. Consistent with the Section 3 of the Act, the Department provides the following information. So essentially, just because before we even really get into it, clearly this letter serves as a purpose of saying, oh, hey, I'm guessing, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, I haven't read it entirely yet, but I'm getting the vibe already. This is like, oh, we've already complied with this, so we're good. That's what it kind of feels like. So we have released all the files. So maybe, I guess, another possibility in this group chat, this release, that maybe it was worded in such a way that the files have been released in their entirety or something like that. And that's the catch here, is that, like, when they say in their entirety, the asterisk there is that, like, in pursuant to the act or whatever, so we're put forth all the files that we have to. So maybe that's what happened. Either way, I mean, it's so crazy what Alex Jones and those retards did. But I'm just trying to even just conceptual, how does that even happen? That's just astounding. So I think maybe that was the mix-up, that whoever their inside man was, which it sounds like was probably a purposeful deception, in that, like, hey, tell them they're all released, and then they'll think, oh shit, they're releasing them all, and they're like, yeah, because we already did, dumbass. Anyways, categories of records released and withheld. Categories of records released in accordance with the requirements of the Act and as described in various department submissions to the courts of the Southern District of New York, assigned to the Epstein and Maxwell prosecutions and related orders. The department released all records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the department that relate to any of 9 different categories. So they're saying they have released all of these. So let's keep going. It says 1, Jeffrey Epstein, including all investigations, prosecutions, or custodial matters. 2, Ghislaine Maxwell. 3, flight logs or travel records, including but not limited to manifest itineraries, pilot records, and customs or immigration documentation for any aircraft, vessel, or vehicle owned, operated, or used by Jeffrey Epstein or any related entity. 4, individuals, including government officials, named or referenced in connection with Epstein's criminal activities, civil settlements, immunity or plea agreements, or investigatory proceedings. 5, entities, corporate, nonprofit, academic, or governmental, with known or alleged ties to Epstein's trafficking or financial network. 6, any immunity deals, non-prosecution agreements, plea bargains, or sealed agreements involving Epstein or his associates. 7, internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate Epstein or his associates. Which I don't, just not to stay in this area, this bit too long, but I think that's what a lot of people have complained about, is that there's been all these things that haven't been followed up on, that we haven't gotten a lot of explanation why. So I mean, I don't have any specific examples at the top of my mind, but anyways. 8, all communications, memoranda, directives, logs, or metadata concerning the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, recordings, or electronic data related to Epstein, his associates, his detention and death, or any investigative files and documentation of Epstein's detention or death, including incident reports, witness interviews, medical examiner files, autopsy reports, and written records detailing the circumstances and cause of death. Whew. Category of records withheld. The only category of records withheld were those records were permitted withholdings under Section 2C, and privileged materials were not segregable from material responsive under Section 2A. So the only category of records withheld, so this seems important, were not segregable from material responsive. So they're saying that there were spots where there were permitted withholdings, and they were not able to be broken up from the responsive material. So that seems like kind of a catch-all, which isn't the whole fucking purpose of redactions? So they're saying there are certain things that they withheld because even though there were things that would have been responsive in there, There were also permitted withholdings, which I don't know, whatever. That's confusing to me. That seems like some weird legal loophole for them here, but what do I know? But that sounds like the point of redactions. As discussed in the department's December 19, 2025 and January 29, 2026 letters to Congress, the privileges that applied to the withheld records were deliberative process privilege, work product privilege, and attorney-client privilege. Okay. No records were withheld or redacted on the basis of, or withheld or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity, including any government official, public figure, or foreign dignitary. Now that's just complete bullshit. There's been all sorts of redactions. So now I guess they get out there would be like, oh, well, that was on the basis of embarrassment. It's like they'd come up with some other reason. Summary of redactions made on legal basis. Consistent with the Act, the Department, in consultation with victim counsel and victims directly, engage in an extensive process to identify and redact segregable portions of records that A, contain PII, personally identifiable information, of victim or victim's personal and medical files and similar files, and the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. B, depict or contain child or CSAM, as defined under 18 USC 2256 and prohibited under 18 USC 2252 to 2252A. C, would jeopardize an active federal investigation or ongoing prosecution. So that's a big one there. Provided that such withholding is narrowly tailored and temporary. And D, depict or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury of any person. That seems like, you'd think like I don't know, I guess you wouldn't want to see death, but actually, I don't even know. I don't know. Actually, yeah, why would they withhold death stuff? I don't know why you would, if there's any physical abuse, injury, and it's depicted, via, why would you remove that, actually, now that I think about it? Because I remember Todd Blanche mentioned this in the past, that this would be one of the redactions, but now in retrospect, I'm like, why? On what basis would you remove that? I mean, if there is deaths, physical abuse, injury that you have physical, evidence of, why can't we see that? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't want to see any like CP, but and I don't really even want to see. I'm one of those people who doesn't like seeing like faces of death type stuff. I don't like that sort of shit. That stuff makes me feel uneasy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, look at this guy. Oh, cool, he just died. That stuff, I hate that shit. But at the same time, like, you think just for the purposes of, I don't know, being transparent, why wouldn't you include that stuff? Okay, whatever. All right, let's move on. We're almost to the list. I know this is boring shit, but hey, this is what this dump is for. Although permitted by the Act, no materials were redacted or withheld on the basis that a record contained information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy and are in fact properly classified pursuant to such executive order. Man, I hope Tyler covers this, because he'll definitely, or of the Libertarian Podcast Review, so for those who don't know what I'm talking about, or my lawyer friend, because he'll definitely do a better job covering this. If there's anything relevant in here. This seems kind of like a legal, CYA type thing, and it's obviously bullshit. As described in the detail in the SDNY EFTA orders and submissions in the prior EFTA letters, the department, as permitted by the Act, undertook an extensive process to redact victim names and victim PII, including extensive engagement with victims and their counsel. This engagement is ongoing. The department remains steadfast in its commitment to protecting victims. The department notes and is discussed in the SDNY EFTA orders and submissions. Unredacted versions of these materials are available for inspection at the department by members of Congress, and certain members of Congress have come to the department to inspect unredacted materials. As discussed above, which, by the way, that we haven't covered this on this show with the unredacted thing. There have been, and maybe we'll cover this in a future day, because there were names that were listed or whatever by people, by Ro Khanna and Massey on the Congress floor, because they have like a legal liability or like covers. You essentially aren't liable if you do that. Now, with that was as a result of them going to go see the unredacted materials, and they were able to find names that should have been unredacted before. And, these are, whatever, we'll get into those another day. But so some of those names have come out, and so they were, now they've made it so that these guys can check out some of the unredacted material. Now, here's the catch. Funny enough, many of them complained about that when they got there, that some of the material they were looking at was still redacted. And then when they went to go find out why, it's because whatever previous agency had it before them had redacted it. So it was like redactions within redactions. As discussed above and in the prior EFTA letters, the department redacted a limited amount of information covered by various privileges, including deliberative process privilege, work product privilege, and attorney-client privilege. The legal basis for these redactions and withholding, as these privileges are long recognized and based in common law. Given the presumption against repeal of common law principles, the Supreme Court has recognized that such privilege should not be held to have been abrogated or limited unless Congress has at least used clear statutory language. All right, yada, yada, yada. Whatever, we're getting through all this. This is all just legal language that you guys don't give a shit about, and me and you both probably hardly understand. All right, next section, list of all government officials and politically exposed persons. Now, this is interesting. This is clearly where most people are pointing out this looks like them muddying the waters. Below is a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the release material. So here's them listing all the people. So it's almost as if they're leaning into the Epstein panic or whatever. Like, oh, here's all the names of anybody related to this whatsoever. The term politically exposed persons was not defined in the Act, but consistent with Section 3 of the Act. Department reviewers were directed to notate all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in any document, including videos and images reviewed during this process. This list includes all persons where 1, they are or were a government official or politically exposed person, and 2, their name appears in the files released under the Act at least once. Names appear in the files released under the Act in a wide variety of contexts. For example, some individuals have extensive direct email contact with Epstein or Maxwell, while other individuals are mentioned only in a portion of a document, including press reporting that on its face is unrelated to the Epstein and Maxwell matters. I know there's a ton of these names. I don't know. I'm going to go through some of them. Acosta's in here, Assange, Bannon. I'm not going to read them all. Beyonce, Leon Black, Blinken, Bondi, John Brennan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Clooney, Bill Cosby, Alan Dershowitz, Michael Flynn, Bill Gates, Rudy Giuliani, Orrin Hatch. It's an interesting blast from past there. That comes up in OKC stuff all the time. Tony Higgins, Eric Holder, Sarah Huckabee, and we haven't gone to the B's yet. Never mind. We have. I'm retarded. I'm reading it wrong. Adelson, Barack, Bezos, Bongino, just any name you can think of, really. I think they said Jones isn't even here. Let me see if I can find it. It's Jones is in there. Jones. Let's go on to the next page. Here's the next page. There's like 3 pages of names, which we're not going to read them all because these don't matter. I mean, like, they just mean that they showed up in some context in the files. That's all that it means, which means basically nothing. Let me see. Alex Jones, ironically, is in here. So these are the files Alex Jones is all hyped about, and he's in them. The 6 pages. Marco Rubio. I'm not going to go through all these, but you guys can check them all out. And then it kind of finishes off with just a signature from Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche. Well, Todd Blanche's signature, and then a sincerely Pam Bondi, U.S. Attorney General. So, yeah, that's what they released. That was all the files that they released. Seems a little bit of like a CYA to me, as I said. Looks like an attempt at muddying the waters, but this is also their way of saying, hey, you're not getting shit else. And here's the new PSYOP that's dropping, and I think this is relevant. I really do feel like the powers that be want this to stick. Don't let it stick. We will fight back against Epstein had aura. No, he didn't. He was a fucking loser. He was a fucking dork. The more that we've learned about him, the bigger a fucking loser he is. But listen to this broad. I think that I just want to point this out. I think this is something you need to watch out for. This is going to be with the rise of the Epstein class, this class solidarity that is being presented to us. We're going to go more through this episode, the class solidarity here, but I do feel like that we're going to get more and more of what this broad is saying, which, by the way, I think this is one of Prince Andrew's, or I forget, it was either Prince Andrew or RFK's ex, somebody. I don't know. This broad is super clicked into the Epstein class, but listen to what she has to say.
He knew everybody that was very powerful. So, like, if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it. He knew everybody that was very powerful. So like if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult, because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am.
All right, so we're a bunch of losers because we don't like to diddle kids, I guess. All right, let's roll through the chat, check in with y'all, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll run through some fun Pam Bondi clips. But let's check in with y'all. Good morning, Omega Nerd saying, let me lurk. No, you will come in here and you will say good morning. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Valiant Thor, saying weird how a lot of people crying about the Epstein files had them before, some going back 20 years. This is a brilliant distraction. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of distraction happening here. I do think there's important stuff here. Good morning, King David. Says the fuck you, Ben, Jose. Man, glad to see you. Hope everything's good. Yeah, we're doing all right. Phobe says my voting family did not get a kick out of the Massey video. Good morning, Bug Fights. Or I said good morning to you. Aggressively agreeing. Good morning, good morning. As I struggle with the idea that democracy is completely fake and giving my allegiance to a Massey dictatorship. Yeah, I mean, I would also don't fall for the Massey thing either. I'm not saying he's necessarily an op, but it is just a fell for it again. If you are like, well, maybe we're gonna vote for, well, we'll just vote for the GOP when they got Massey in charge. Yeah, okay, that'll work. That'll work. Good morning, Elliot. Says I've seen things Jose can't explain. Probably. Let me see. Whoa, Michael Manifesto says Jesse Jackson died today. Well, I don't really have anything bad. I don't really have much to say about that, but that's okay. That's something. I didn't really necessarily like the guy. I guess I didn't really hate him either. I don't know. A little bit of a race grifter from my understanding, but bummer. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Moons and Goochers. Yeah, how's the Dow Jones? Says Alien Big Cat. Good morning, JC. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Johnny Shanks a lot. Prince Andrew's ex. There you go. It was Prince Andrew's ex, that broad. Yep. Yep. All right, let's get into Bondi Blowout, get into some of the wildness of all that. To kind of start out, I told you guys with that Alex Jones thing, keep in mind, how Trump is being about all this, because I do think it's relevant, and it was funny. It was funny Alex Jones said something about like, he's all mad at these guys. Well, here is Trump. We're going to give you Trump's take about this Bondi craziness before we get into it. I just find that to be an interesting way to cover it. Go ahead and dispel that right off the jump. Here he is, which we'll show you. So we're going out of order here. So we're showing you the reaction of Trump, and then we're going to go back and we're going to show you the clips of Bondi, and you guys can go, holy shit. So here you go. Maybe I should do it the other way around, but whatever. AG Pam Bondi, under intense fire from the Trump deranged radical left lunatics, was fantastic at yesterday's hearing on the never-ending saga of Jeffrey Epstein, where the one thing that has been proven conclusively, much to their chagrin, was that President Donald J. Trump has been 100% exonerated of their ridiculous Russia type charges. Actually, it's the slimeball Democrats, many of them big donors and politicians, that have been proven guilty. Republican loser, sanctimonious rhino Congressman Thomas Massey made a total fool of himself yesterday, fighting aimlessly against a hopeless agenda of hate and stupidity, which I remember the first time reading this, I thought that was an interesting little slip, fighting aimlessly against a hopeless agenda of hate and stupidity, which I don't know if he just wasn't, sure about his wording there, but that is actually what Massey is doing, fighting aimlessly against a hopeless agenda of hate and stupidity, which that is kind of what's happening. Trump's administration being the hopeless agenda of hate and stupidity, and Massey fighting against. Although I'd say maybe aimlessly is unfair. Anyways, as most clearly stated by his crashing job approval numbers in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, where a military hero opponent, Ed Gallerine, is crushing him in the polls. He is now in wacky Liz Cheney territory. Nobody cared about Epstein when he was alive. They only cared about him when they thought he could create political harm to a very popular president who has brought our country back from the brink of extinction, and very quickly at that. In fact, this attempt by the Democrats to take away attention from tremendous Republican success is backfiring badly. Maybe they should focus on their quest to open our borders to the world's greatest criminals, have transgender for everybody, or get men, no matter their size or strength, to play in women's sports. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the wildness that is this Bondi hearing. And you guys can decide, is Trump completely out of touch here? He just might be. Let's check this out.
There was one redaction out of over 4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed politician. I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history, and if they could maintain their composure. You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in
You're obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome. All of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump, you all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the
all right, I think I accidentally this clip right here. This is a clip from Midas Touch. Shit, I don't have the full Massey interaction. I thought this was one of them. My bad. Maybe I can find it in the meantime while one of the other clips played, because that was just a conglomeration of a bunch of different ones. But let's pop over this one. This is the one that's been shared around a bunch. The Dow. Let's watch this.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does the Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
The Dow right now is over.
All right, so there's the Dow one. Here's another one. Here's her getting cooked by one of the goblins from Harry Potter's bank. You know, the little, what was it? I forget what the name was. It Gringotts? What was the name of the bank? Gringotts? Yes. One of you guys are Harry Potter nerd out there. But you guys remember the little goblins that worked there? Well, this is Bondi getting cooked by one of them.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer
theatrics
the
are
question
ridiculous.
the way I asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
My time.
I think it's very interesting.
And you can
that
reclaim
he
your
talks
time.
about they indicted.
Mr.
The president said they indicted him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest. So he asked a 4-minute question.
Restore 45 seconds, Mr. Nadler, please, Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I said that
I
already.
should 45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now. Mr. Nadler.
All right.
Reclaiming my time. The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, You included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None
has
of the perpetrators have
expired.
been brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time
have been
of the
dedicated to
gentleman has
pursuing Trump's
expired,
enemies.
and
It's
obviously
clear that under your leadership, the Department of Justice
there
no
was
longer
no
works for
question
American
in there.
people. It works
Order
for Donald
respond to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
All right, I found the Massey one. Here you guys go. Here's the Massey Bondi interaction. Let's watch this.
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger than
when you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer the question the
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what
transparent-
point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Leck Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time is.
All right, which, I mean, I don't know what the specifics of that AI porn thing or whatever was. So I'm sure, I mean, anytime, and this is such a cheap tactic, whatever people do that, like, oh, you voted this thing. You're like, well, I mean, it's been talked about. They put pork in all these different bills. I mean, and, you know, you could be the, Save Kids Act, but if you actually read the fine print, you're like, oh, this is going to, you know, I don't know, systematize the abuse of children. You're like, oh, okay, well, these things, the names of these acts and what they're purported to do don't necessarily actually achieve their ends, and a lot of times don't even really, you know, actually read the fine print and actually claim that, or they have a million other things. So I don't know the specifics of that one. So funny. It's also like, well, you're talking about, oh no, they might manufacture some AI porn, and I voted one way or another on it, and we're talking about literal children and far more. Like, this is, as we talk about on our show, me and Austin do all the time, like the roots of Gladio. Like, this is kind of what me and Austin have been talking about for forever. All right, let's check out her interaction with Jamie Raskin and this Pam Bondi. So let's enjoy more of this beautiful blowing out.
That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends. But you published their names, their identities, their images on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked. This performance screams cover-up.
All right, let's check over the next one. Let's talk about Mr. Liu, our resident Asian guy over the Democrat side of the aisle. Let's see what he's had to say. Let's hear his back and forth with Pam Bondi.
Want to know were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's
President
no evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please
Trump
stop the
to
clock.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation. This is
I'd like to reclaim my time. I want to know whether.
All right, now let's go on to this other one. I think this one. I don't think we've watched this one. I hope it's not a redundant one. Let's watch it. She also got a little bit of screeching about anti-Semitism. So let's check this out.
Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once when he was. Weak sauce. And also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh, is Jewish. I just want to be clear.
Oh,
do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
The committee will be in order.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The ranking member.
All right, so let's be real. Both sides of this are kind of gay. How dare you? How dare you? My great Mima. Like, okay, cool. Like, I get it. Like, bummer, but like, I don't know. I guess to be fair, I don't know. Some of these people are older. I guess I'm looking at it from my frame as someone in my mid 30s. Like, if I was talking to someone a peer of relative age, and they were like, "Oh, my so and so," and you're like, "Dude, shut the fuck up!" Like, shut up. Like, it's for one, it is also gay to be like, "I didn't hear you say anything about anti-Semitism," but then it's also gay to go, "Oh my God, you dare say that to me, a Jew?" Which, it is ridiculous to say that to a Jew, but it's also a little gay to do, I don't know, immediately grab your pearls so fucking hard. But either way, yes, this it literally has devolved into, but I didn't hear you say anything about people being mean to Jews. All right, guys, let's pop to the chat. I'm not sure if we're going to make it through the last segment, so we'll probably make a third segment out of going to, we'll call it Ludicrous Lutnick, and we'll go into some of the Lutnick stuff. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. If some more of you guys pop in, hit the like button. If I see the views go up significantly, maybe I'll stick it out for another segment. I have been gone for a while, so why not take it a little bit longer? But let's roll through the chat, say some good morning. So yeah, hit that like button so you get more people join. We'll throw another segment if I see more of you people hit the live chat, and then maybe we'll keep on going. But let's check in and see what we got in here. See if we can use Marty Mack saying Jim Jordan is acting like such a vagina and Bondi is unbearable. She brings meaning to dumb blonde. This is so bad. Yeah, it was real bad for sure. Michael saying it's so disgusting, asking the government to tell itself is also retarded. Nothing will come of this, but it's disgusting to see the straight face gaslighting. Yeah, Till says, "Oh shit, Juice mad." Yeah. Mainly because, oh my Jewish God. Yeah. But yeah, it's devolved into, as these things are apt to do, always devolved into, I didn't hear you say anything about people being mean to Jews. How dare you? I am a Jew. All right, let's check in on Lutnick, some of the weirdness with him. We'll do the same thing as we did with our Bondi coverage. We'll start from the end and work our way back. Let's check in to see from the mouthpiece of Sauron, Karen Leavitt, what she's saying. Apparently Trump's position is currently on Howard Lutnick. So let's hear what she has to say.
Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein, and the Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
All right, there you go. You heard it. Remember Alex Jones saying, "Oh, he's so mad at these guys. Heads are going to roll." Well, let's check in. Let's see what Lutnick had to say recently when he went before Congress or Senate, I guess. So which we'll back. I mean, I guess I don't feel the need. We'll back up in a second so you guys can see how Lutnick's currently or previously had talked about his relationship to Epstein. But here is him talking to the Senate about his relationship to Epstein. Let's see how he's currently characterizing it.
Nick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again,
Okay, so there he is. Now he's admitting, yes, he took the boat out for a nice lunch with Epstein on the island, whereas he was telling a much different tale not too long ago. He actually made a whole show of it. I remember we covered it here on this show. We were kind of like, what the fuck is this dude doing? If anything, it was actually a very weird timing. Felt like he was almost throwing the rest of the team under the bus. This is when they were really trying to avoid all the Epstein stuff. And then in comes Lutnick, all Leroy Jenkins style, like, let me tell you about how I didn't have a goddamn thing to do with him, but he definitely is a real fucking weirdo that you guys should be keeping an eye on at a time where they're really trying to downplay the Epstein stuff. So very weird, very weird. But let's check in on this. Let's check in on his recent. We're going to put this on a quick, maybe like a 2X or something, because I don't feel like listening to the whole thing again. We've probably watched this too many times in the show, but just a little recap of what his position was on his relationship with Epstein not too long ago.
All right, so we are in number 11, and he lives in number 9. Right. So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice. Okay, it was derelict. Right. So we rebuild our house. We moved in 2005. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like a week. Right. So knock on the door. His assistant, on like Saturday, says, "Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee." So my wife and I go next door. We walk 7 steps right to the next house for coffee. We share a wall. Right. So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, "Do you want a tour?" He said, "Great, interesting. He's got a really big house. Every room. He's got well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room, and then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room. Yeah. And he opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room, and candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, "Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage?" And he says, "Every day." And then he gets like weirdly close to me, and he says, "And the right kind of massage." Now my wife is standing here, so she looks at me, and I look at her, and we say, "I'm sorry, we have to go." And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. That guy was there. I wasn't going because he's gross.
All right, so the story is that let's back up right there. Says, I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. Which I'm pretty sure all 3 of those have been proven wrong at this point, which we will go into. Yeah, that was complete and utter bullshit, as we just saw. One of the first things that people saw when these files came out, there was those. We covered this in the show, the one file where he's talking about going to go meet him on the island and how he's going to bring, I think, 4 kids with him, and he named off their ages, which was weird, as if they were like meat, like, oh, I got a nice 8-year porterhouse that I'm bringing, or what is it? No, not, I guess wine is more I'm thinking of. I'm also thinking of like aged steaks, but they don't age them for years, right? It's got to be months. It can't be years. They'd be fucking gross. But anyways, I was thinking more like wine. But yeah, it was weird the way he's just like, itematizing them. And then I guess his excuse for that is, oh, those are my kids, nannies, yada, yada. But yeah, I guess somehow that just slipped his mind. I let that go. Here's Chris Brunette saying, kind of pouncing on what I pointed out with the socially for business or philanthropy. The quote being, "My wife and I decided that we will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with Epstein socially, for business, or philanthropy." He says the reality here, Lutnick and Epstein were business partners. They acquired a tech company together in 2012. Here is one of the files. It says something, counterpart signature, page 10, Series A, preferred. Of course, it's blurry. I can't really make it out. But here are their signatures. We're going to look at something here in a second that'll prove this out a little bit more. So don't worry about this too much. You can see the EFTA is on the bottom. If you guys, I don't think anyone can make that out. Sorry. I clearly took a picture of something else, and then I forget what it's called, but it's made it so the resolution wasn't good. But let's look a little bit. Let's look into that business claim. Here's CBS News, which you have fucked up. You have fucked up if you were in the Trump administration, and CBS News is reporting negatively on you. Here's CBS News, which is essentially a Zionist, in the bag. This is their journalist entity. This is their shit. They own this, and somehow, even despite all of that, they felt the need to go, we got to report on this. So Lutnick and Epstein were in business together. Epstein Files show. So here is this file. This is a 2012 contract for Adfin. So U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick has said that he had limited interactions with Epstein, but documents show they were in business together as recently as 2014. Epstein and Lutnick each signed on behalf of limited liability companies that agreed on December 28, 2012 to acquire stakes in a now shuttered advertising technology company called Adfin. Documents released among the so-called Epstein Files show. Howard and Epstein Lutnick's signatures appear on neighboring pages in the contract, with Epstein signing for his Southern Trust Company, Incorporated, and Lutnick for a limited liability company called CVAFH1. The documents list 9 shareholders in total. Lutnick, the former chairman of the financial services firm Cantor Fitzgerald, who at one point lived next door to Epstein, told the New York Post in October that he and his wife had cut ties with Epstein in 2005, deciding after taking a tour of Epstein's New York townhouse, "I will never be in the room with that disgusting person again." However, it appears they continue to maintain contact, and emails show they arranged calls and planned to have drinks in 2011, which that one was mentioned. That's not the one most people are focused on. So there was other social calls as well. The following year, the couple and their 4 children planned a visit to Epstein's Island. Little St. James emails show Lutnick was invited for lunch on December 24th, 2012. And later, Epstein's assistant wrote on behalf of Epstein, "It was nice seeing you." There's also, I don't think I have one of these ready to go. Let me see if I do real quick before we go into that. But here's another one. Here's another thing showing kind of their connections. Here's Noxy Love saying, "We now have evidence that in 2017, Jeffrey Epstein gave $50,000 to a dinner honoring Howard Lutnick." It says, Paulson writes, "I want to make sure that as a close friend of the Lutnicks, you are aware of the event and have the opportunity to support them." So this is saying they were close friends and shows they were close enough that Epstein gave $50,000 for dinner honoring him. You don't do that for people you don't know. Lutnick needs to resign immediately. So let's go through this one. Cool, I can see this one better. I don't know what the hell the deal is with the other one. Let me see. This is from Paulson. Just so you can see right here, as chairman of the Wall Street division, I want to make sure that as a close friend of the Lutnicks, you're aware of the event and have the opportunity to support them. Should you wish to participate, you can take part by placing a tribute the ad in the commemorative journal and /or by attending. And then let me see if we got a follow up where they say, you go from Jeffrey Epstein, 50,000. It says, and then it says, should we deliver check to UJA or someone else such as Paulson, Lutnick, etc.? Please advise. Thank you. And it says Paulson from Epstein. So there's the back and forth email seemingly confirming he gave $50,000 to this. I've also we don't have this one ready to go, but I've also seen people talking about that apparently they had some sort of nanny connection, which I think is interesting. That apparently there was some sort of exchange of nannies, which I find that pretty interesting. Makes me wonder how old are these nannies. What even is a nanny when you get to this level in life? And a little reminder before we move on from this Lutnick coverage. Actually, real quick, this is one I meant to cover a second ago, but just to let you guys know how significant it is that CBS is reporting on this. Here is what was this from January 31st? So January 25th, Barry Weiss hired Peter Attia to work at CBS News. Now, Peter Attia, he is that dude is featured heavily in those Epstein files. I believe, was he like his previous chef or some shit? So yeah, you guys can go look into that on your own. I think we may have already covered a little bit of the Peter Attia stuff. He's also been a guest on Rogan, so a lot of people have been throwing that back in Rogan's face recently. This Attia guy is kind of a weirdo. One thing I heard being thrown around is that I think this guy wrote a book, and apparently he missed a crazy medical emergency with his child meeting with Epstein, and the email back and forth kind of makes it. Kind of heavily implies what you think he's probably doing, some degeneracy of some sort. So he's getting his dick wet while the life of his child is at risk. So that's with Epstein. So that's something. That's something. But yeah, even more so to the point that CBS was basically about to hire that guy. I think the latest I've heard is that he was in a spot where he technically I think wasn't hired yet, but he was about to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if CBS still does end up hiring this guy, depending on how he handles this the PR storm. But there's a good chance that they kind of were like, oh, just kidding, we're not doing that. So I think they were at a place in their business relationship where they could kind of just ice it and maybe see where things are in a little bit. That's where they're at right now. So I haven't heard anything from CBS going hard on Peter Attia or anything, or I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, or condemning him in any way. So they may still end up hiring him, but just to kind of make more significance of the fact that Lutnick is being covered. But one more thing on Lutnick before we move on to the final segment. I think we'll do that. We'll get into the final segment here in a second, but let's check in on Lutnick. Blast from the past of this guy. For those who aren't aware, this dude magically missed work on 9/11. People call him Lucky Lutnick, Lucky Howard Lutnick. So here is him back in the day recalling some of the specifics of that deal. So let's watch this. And he ended up getting a bunch of life I think insurance from the building and a bunch of other stuff. So he basically made bank off 9/11, and the majority of the people in his business that he was with died, and yet he somehow ran off scot-free. Lucky him. Missed work that day. I forget what the reasoning was. It was one of those wow, what a crazy coincidence type thing. So let's watch this.
And so that added $35 million. $35 million to that group upstairs, but the sad thing is, so $35 million sounds like so much money, but if you divide it by 700 people, it's only $50,000. It's not enough to. So that's why we need to work on our foundation.
So there's some fake crying. You guys go dig more. That's him complaining, I guess, about the payout or something. He's maybe he's doing this weird fake crying thing, which I don't know. Maybe he is really sad and he's just not really good at crying. I don't know. Let's roll for the chat, and then I don't know. I'm telling you, I was looking at the live chat, debating whether I was going to do another segment. I saw it going up a little bit ago. I was like, oh shit, maybe we will do the last segment. But I don't know. Let's roll for the chat. Let's see. All of you guys hit that like button. See if we can't get that number up higher. And I don't know. I'll deliberate at the end if I'm going to cut this a little bit short or if we're going to go a little bit long. It's all going to be up to you guys whether I see that number go up. Make number go up. Hit that like button, everybody. Repost, whatever the hell you got to do. But let's roll through the chat. Say some more good mornings for people in here real late. Sir Han Solo saying, hit that like button. Please do. Daz saying, keep it coming. Well, I want to keep it coming, so hit that like button, people. Tell your friends. WC Cola, oh my Lanta, they say, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Retardo, just popping in here, said, been fading heads all morning, so absent in the chat. Good to have you back, Jose. Good to be back with you, Retardo. Good to see you in the chat. Let me see. Let me see what else we got. Well, you guys are really quiet in the chat today. Really quiet. All right. Well, maybe just for fuck it. I'm ending it. We're calling it. We're killing it today. We're killing it early. Operation GCD saying they're all Muppets. Good morning to you. I know it's probably not morning where you're at. I don't know. I'm really. Let me see. Do you think I could speed run? Let me look through this. Could I speed run this? Fuck it. Let's do the last segment. Just do it for the love of the game. I don't give a fuck about those numbers. I do though. Boost them up, please. CJC saying don't leave. All right, fuck it. Let's do it. We're doing it. We're doing it live, people. All right. Do you want to let you guys? We're going into the multiple Ghislaine theory. All this kind of ties into a few other things. It's not only explicitly multiple Ghislaine theory, but it kind of started off. One other thing that got on the mix of all this stuff is that Ghislaine Maxwell had a deposition at the House Oversight Committee. It was less than an hour long, and she pled the fifth the entire time. She says she appeared before lawmakers for a closed-door interview in the House bipartisan probe into the federal government's handling of Epstein's case. She's currently serving a 20-year sentence at a Texas prison. So she pled the fifth the whole way. There's also these rumors going around, or I don't even know if it's like rumors. I think it's actually straight up said it. That I think her lawyers were saying that, she'd be willing to talk, but she'd need to be granted clemency. And like, I think they basically even straight up said that, she could clear the name of Donald Trump. So we're kind of just getting open like, hey man, you give us clemency and we will give you, we will clear your name. I mean, even though it's obviously like scratch my back, I'll scratch yours openly, but whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get something like that here shortly. But one thing many people noticed that is of interest is, do you guys think this is the same person? Do you guys think this is the same person? You guys tell me. What do you guys think? I've heard some people say that just prison kind of makes you puffy, kind of, I know she hasn't been able to work out like she normally does, get the same sort of diet. Maybe she's inflamed, which sure, maybe that could be explained by that. But here are the two faces. Many people have pointed out these two do not look the same. Looks like Michael Myers is on rough times trying to get some extra work is what it looks like on the left. You got Michael Myers on the left and Gilf on the right. These two things are not holding up. I mean, this is like what is this like? The night before, the morning after type thing. The night before on like when you're all hammered on the right, and the morning after on the left. That is that what's going on here? I mean, is there beer goggles on the right? I don't know. I don't really have too strong of opinion. I do. Here is one video. I'll retweet that for those who really care. You can guys go check that out. If you want to go over to my page at Tower Gang Jose, you'll see one of the most recent ones. There's a video. I was thinking about playing it today if we made really good time, but it's almost 6 minutes long, and they go into matching these two up. I don't know. I'm still on the edge. What I think about if it could be the same person, could not. I will say their noses do look very different to me. You look at this nose, it's kind of more like a my nose. Whereas this nose is more kind of like a, kind of pushed in, kind of like a girly nose. I mean, maybe prison does do that. Maybe that prison food makes you all inflamed, makes you all puffy. I mean, I struggle to believe a nose just from a few extra pounds and some inflammation would change that much. But what do I know? But many people have, I don't know, there might be something to this, though. There might be something to this. We'll work towards that. I do want to remind you guys, though, that, with this, trying to exonerate the Trumps or whatever, here's an email between Ghislaine and Melania. This is from Melania to Ghislaine. It says, "Dear G, how are you? Nice story about J.E., that's Jeffrey Epstein, in New York Mag. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania." Now, this is in 2002, so it just at least establishes there was a friendly relationship here. Now, some of these segments, these pieces in the segment seem a little bit, happen a little all over the place, maybe not as connected, but I think you may see as we go along how they kind of might be. Here's Dominic Trippi saying, newly released Epstein documents reveal FBI agent purposely removed hard drive from jail video recording system, intentionally erasing all prison footage during the time of Epstein's death. Here is the emails for those who want to see that. You go. Let me start over here. Says, told to start working in the system. This is a 302. Started removing the bad drivers in order to rebuild the DVR. Redacted advised an FBI agent was the one who pulled out the DVR. So these are who is being interviewed is redacted, but I mean we could presume this is somebody in the prison. Redacted advised an FBI agent was the one who pulled the DVR. Redacted also advised that he knew that by replacing both hard drives, the system would be wiped, and they advised personnel at MCC of that. So here's another actual perfect example. Why the fuck is this dude redacted? Like, why? Like, I mean, why would this dude be redacted? Like, I'm not saying this guy is obviously not even like he's obviously not like I wouldn't say he's a suspect. And I mean, maybe he could be. I mean, if there's more information that comes out, but if we knew who this guy was, it would make these things easier to piece together a little bit. Or maybe even people could, could try to get in touch with him, journalists, whatever. I mean, maybe there's something that I don't know of. That you're like these, but it's supposed to be just victims, and I don't think this guy would be a victim. He's more of like a third party. He's not a perpetrator, victim, somebody else in here. Going on, it says redacted advised that only one hard drive of the camera system was working at the time of the incident on August 10th, 2019. When a DVR went bad, none of the cameras recorded. There was a system failure of DVR2 on July 29, 2019, and the motherboard failed on DVR2 on August 9, 2019. The hard drive failure occurred on August 10, 2019. Redacted recalled there was a body alarm around 6 a.m. on August 10, 2019, and he was one of the MCC personnel who responded. It's okay, he was one of the... All right. Redacted stated that he was one of the personnel who briefly tried to resuscitate Jeffrey Epstein. After the incident, Redacted was asked about the cameras. Yeah, this is a guy who literally tried to give Jeffrey Epstein CPR. Why the fuck is this dude redacted? All right, after the incident, Redacted was asked about the cameras. There were 2 new hard drives to install, but installing the new hard drives would mean that all prior data would be lost. The warden wanted video, and so Redacted was, and then it goes on. And that's the end of what we have for this right here. Yeah, I don't know why the fuck this guy be redacted, but hey, this looks like the feds knew that they were going, when they fucked with this video stuff, they knew that they were going to be wiping the information, which, I don't know, tie some of these things together. I think maybe you guys might be getting at a little bit what I'm getting at here. Are these 2 pulling off, the end of Dark Knight Returns, or whichever Dark Knight movie it was at the end, where Alfred catches them in, France or whatever, and they're just sitting at a table together? Kind of seems like what might be going on here. Maybe. Here's Clint. He's saying, couldn't believe this was real, so I double-checked the DOJ site. U.S. Attorney Berman announced Epstein's death with letterhead dated the day before he was found dead. Says, gets weirder. Bill Barr announced Berman's resignation less than a year later. Berman denied he was resigning and was then removed by Barr on June 20th, 2020. Trump denied any involvement, but it was confirmed by later reporting that, in fact, it was Trump who had Berman removed. This rabbit hole is relentless. So, yeah. So the letterhead on this thing is dated incorrectly, which, no, okay, it's the letterhead. I've heard people say that this couldn't been done by time differences. The only thing I could say is maybe, because letterheads, if I understand, I know when I was in the military, sometimes I would use letterheads, but I was kind of a tech retard, so I barely ever used them. But a lot of times they'd be pretty stock, and you might just copy and paste them from one to the next. So maybe that could, somebody just copied and pasted, and then oops, they forgot to update the date. But either way, there have been plenty of people who have made note of that. Hey, they had the wrong date on this. So, yeah, this was announced the day before. Crazy stuff. Maybe they're just chilling somewhere. And then kind of more to the fact, maybe guy isn't dead. Here's Dissident Media saying, since we apparently live in a reality where the most bizarre possibility is what is real, we have to inform you that Jeffrey Epstein's Fortnite account is live and active in Israel multiple times in the last year alone. No, it's called Littlest Jeff 1. Now, I don't know. You guys sound in the chat. I haven't dug deep enough into this rabbit hole, but this is one of many nodes that seem to point to a possibility of Epstein being alive. Now, what I do like about this one, while I don't have a strong opinion on this one, there were emails. It seems like Jeff may have had a kid. So that's the most fun one that I think people have pointed out, that this perhaps was in fact actually Jeffrey Epstein's kid. Now, people have pointed out supposedly when this account was active and not active was when, comports to when Epstein was in jail or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, what is this? But this is Fortnite, though. I mean, I've never played Fortnite in my life. Jeffrey Epstein was in his 60s. I know he was a big gamer, but I do struggle to believe that he was big back in 2014 into Fortnite. But maybe I'm wrong. It would totally make more sense for a kid or something if he had one. And the name is Littlest Jeff. So, Unless that means that's like a reference to like Little St. James or something. So little St. Jeff, little St. Jeff. So perhaps that is little St. Jeff. So perhaps that's the reference actually, and not like littlest. But yeah, there's more that seems to point to perhaps this guy is alive, which I don't have a strong opinion. I actually do still kind of lean towards that he's dead, because I just feel like that's a crazy thread to leave exposed, but whatever. I mean, the crazier things have happened, many of which things we have covered on this show very recently. And then another thing that kind of ties this all together, and this ties a lot of other things together. This makes me think of, say for example, I don't know, some of the, like Tyler Robinson, for example. Although I don't know if I think we may have seen, we've seen him, but I was actually more thinking like before we saw that first court appearance where we saw him on video, and we just saw the one short video where he was like not moving at all. But the idea of there being fake accounts, or that they're being monitored or run by people, essentially fake entities out there in the world. Here is more to this. Apparently breaking. Meta, that's the Facebook AI thingy. I don't even know what Meta is. Actually, I think that's just what Facebook calls itself now. Anyways, that's patented an AI that can keep a deceased person's account active and running, posting, messaging, and video calling by by using their behavior from past data. And then here is, this is on 4chan from years ago. It says, I'm a Meta insider working on Project Lazarus. We're building an AI that can take over a deceased person's social media accounts and continue making relevant posts as if that person is still alive. This includes age-progressed photos, interacting with other people's content, everything else needed so that person continues on in the digital realm after physical death. So think of this. I'm bringing this up in this context because it's like, if you're trying to play some sort of shenanigans, let's say you need the occasional prison video or something from this lady. Here you go. And everything else needed so that person continued. All right. We were originally told this would be a service offered to people struggling with the loss of loved ones and people who had missing children. Seemed like a decent idea. Things are getting weird now, and I'm having second thoughts about what this is actually going to be used for. The AI is extremely capable of impersonating people. Doesn't take as much initial input as one might think to train the AI how a certain person interacts with the digital world. It's very convincing. Entire island of people could go missing with little to no downtime. The AI could take over all of their social media, and the world wouldn't have a clue that life wasn't just continuing as usual. A lot of the project is becoming more compartmentalized. Things have taken a dark turn, it feels like. They've forbidden communication between people working on different things. Something isn't right, and I don't know what I should do. I'm not going to post any personally identifiable information, but I will try to answer questions that won't expose my role within the project. And to kind of put a little, to tie all of this stuff together, I think you guys will get kind of what I'm getting at as a possibility here. Here's a little bit of a tale that I thought was interesting that kind of exposes the paranoia underneath that a lot of us are concerned about here, about what could actually be here. Here's Black Betty saying, Prologue, the yacht. On August 1st, 2010, 400 guests gathered in Rhinebeck, New York for the wedding of Chelsea Clinton. The bride wore a Vera Wang gown. The ceremony took place at Astor Courts, a 50-acre estate overlooking the Hudson River. Former presidents attended, senators, billionaires, Hollywood stars. Among the guests mingling near the champagne table was a woman most Americans had never heard of. She was 48 years old, British accent, designer dress, Oxford educated. She smiled easily, laughed at jokes, and seemed to know everyone in the room. Her date was a billionaire from Iowa, a tech entrepreneur who'd co-founded Gateway Computers and was now worth $1.4 billion. His name was Ted Waite. Her name was Ghislaine Maxwell. 6 weeks later, Waite purchased a 240-foot mega yacht. It had 5 decks, a helipad, quarters for 17 crew members, and underneath, hidden beneath the waterline, a docking bay for a submarine. They called the yacht Plan B. 9 years later, Ghislaine Maxwell would be arrested for sex trafficking. The FBI would reveal that she'd spent decades recruiting underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein. She'd facilitated abuse. She'd participated in it. She'd built a network that spanned continents. But what most people still don't understand is this. The network didn't just operate on land. It operated underwater. In international waters where no country has jurisdiction, where no Coast Guard patrols, where submarines don't need flight logs, where people can disappear. And Plan B was the blueprint. November 5th, 1991, 5:15 Atlantic Ocean. Before there was Plan B, there was another yacht. The Spanish Coast Guard helicopter circles in the pre-dawn darkness, its spotlight sweeping across the calm Atlantic waters 20 miles off Tenerife. Below, floating face up in the water, is a naked body. The man is large, over 300 pounds. His skin is bloated, pale. His arms are spread wide. He's been dead for hours. At 5:15 a.m., the Coast Guard pulls him from the ocean. His name is Robert Maxwell. He is, or was, one of the most powerful media moguls in Britain. Owner of tabloids, publisher of textbooks, a man who'd met presidents, prime ministers, and according to whispers, Israeli intelligence officers. The yacht he'd fallen from or been pushed from sits silent in the distance. Its name painted in white letters on the hull, Lady Ghislaine, named after his youngest daughter. The scene in the cabin. When Spanish authorities board the Lady Ghislaine, they find Robert Maxwell's stateroom exactly as he left it. The bed is unmade but hasn't been slept in. A book sits on the nightstand. The New World Order by Pat Robertson. A glass of water, half empty, reading glasses folded beside it. The cabin door is locked from the inside, but Maxwell isn't there. His pajamas are folded on a chair. He always wore pajamas. The crew confirms this. Every night without fail, Maxwell put on silk pajamas before bed. So why was his body naked? As security, a former British military officer tells investigators they checked on Maxwell at 11 p.m. the previous night. Maxwell had been in the cabin, alive, reading. At 4 a.m., another crew member had knocked on the door. No answer. He'd assumed Maxwell was asleep. By 4:45 a.m., they'd realized he was missing. 3 autopsies, 3 answers. Dr. Carlos Lopez de Lamela, heart attack followed by accidental drowning, natural causes. Dr. Ian West, so the first one was Spanish government pathologist, by the way. Ian West, hired by the Maxwell family, blunt force trauma to left shoulder and torso, suggesting Maxwell was struck or pushed before entering the water. Cause of death, possibly homicide. And then Dr. Maria Hernandez was an independent review, inconsistencies in stomach content and body position in water. Cause of death, undetermined. 3 doctors, 3 different conclusions. The official Spanish ruling, accident. But the Maxwell family never believed it. The debts. In the weeks after Robert Maxwell's death, investigators uncovered the truth. He owed $3 billion. His companies were on the verge of collapse, and to keep the empire afloat, he'd been stealing from his own employees, raiding pension funds to the tune of 350 million euros, I think. Thousands of workers who'd spent decades at Maxwell's newspaper would never see their retirement savings. On November 4th, 1991, the day before his body was found, Maxwell had received a phone call. The content was never disclosed, but sources said it was from creditors or investigators. The message, we know what you've done. That night, Maxwell told his crew he needed to clear his head. He went to his cabin. By morning, he was in the ocean. The daughter's flight. When Ghislaine Maxwell learned of her father's death, she was in New York. She was 29 years old. She'd spent the previous decade as a socialite in London, attending parties, dating aristocrats, living off her father's money. Now the money was gone, seized by creditors, frozen by courts. The British tabloids, many of which her father had once owned, turned on her viciously. Daddy's girl in scandal, the headlines read, did she know? Ghislaine couldn't stay in England. Everywhere she went, people recognized her. Some spat on her. Others confronted her about the stolen pensions. She fled to New York. She arrived with almost nothing, no income, no career, no prospects. But she had her father's Rolodex. She knew how to charm powerful men. She knew how to make herself indispensable. And within a year, she met someone who changed her life, a financier with a mansion on the Upper East Side, a man with secrets as dark as her father's. His name was Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire. 2008, the prom. By 2008, Jeffrey Epstein was a pariah. He just pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor in Florida. He'd served 13 months in Palm Beach County Jail, though with a work release arrangement that let him leave for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The case had been national news. Everyone knew his name. Everyone knew what he'd done. For Ghislaine Maxwell, who'd been Epstein's partner, recruiter, and facilitator for nearly 2 decades, this was a crisis. She needed distance from Epstein. She needed a new public identity. She needed money. She needed access to the circles of power she'd once moved through so easily. She needed a plan. In late 2008, Maxwell was introduced to a tech billionaire from Iowa, Ted Waite, the Gateway King. Ted Waite grew up in Sioux City, Iowa, where his father sold cattle. In 1985, at age 22, Waite co-founded Gateway Computers from his father's farmhouse. The company sold PCs by mail order. Their boxes covered in black and white cow spots became iconic. By the late 1990s, Gateway was worth over $10 billion. Waite stepped down as CEO in 1998, but remained on the board when he met Maxwell in 2008. He was worth approximately $1.4 billion. He was also recently divorced and looking for meaning. Waite had been interested in ocean conservation. He started a foundation. He donated millions to marine biology research. And when Ghislaine walked into his life, Oxford-educated, multilingual, sophisticated, and passionate about the ocean, Waite was captivated. Maxwell pursued Waite methodically. She studied his interests. She read about oceanography. She attended conferences on marine conservation. She positioned herself as someone who shared his values. By 2009, they were dating. Waite introduced Maxwell to his world, tech entrepreneurs, philanthropists, environmentalists. Maxwell introduced Waite to hers, British aristocrats, Manhattan socialites, and crucially, the Clintons. In 2010, Waite made two major decisions. First, he donated over $10 million to the Clinton Foundation. Second, he purchased a yacht. The yacht was originally built in 2001 and named Cicero, which is Italian for whisper. Waite purchased it in 2010 for an undisclosed sum and renamed it Plan B. This was 240 feet, 5 decks, helipad, guest suites for 12 passengers, crew quarters for 17 staff, submarine docking bay on the lower deck. The submarine bay is not unusual for mega yachts. Wealthy owners use submarines to explore coral reefs, visit underwater caves, and travel discreetly between locations. But submarines have one critical advantage over helicopters or jets. There are no required flight logs. Between 2009 and 2011, Ghislaine obtained the following certifications: submarine pilot license, helicopter pilot license, remotely operated vehicle operator certification, deep worker submersible certification, which is a specific submarine, emergency medical technician training. These aren't casual hobbies. Each certification requires a month of intensive training and testing. Maxwell told people she was passionate about ocean exploration and marine biology. She posted photos on social media of herself diving, operating underwater cameras, and cleaning trash from the ocean floor. But here's the question. Why would a 48-year-old socialite with no prior interest in oceanography suddenly spend years obtaining professional-grade underwater certifications, unless she had a specific purpose? Now, the wedding, at Clinton's wedding, which is Astor Courts, is a historical estate in Rhinebeck, New York. This had Clinton, Hillary Clinton at it, senators, congresspeople, tech billionaires, Hollywood stars. Ghislaine and Ted attend together. Photos from the event show Maxwell smiling, well-dressed. A lot of you guys have probably seen the photo of her head peeking out. This is not an accident, this is strategy. Waite's $10 million donation, the Clinton Foundation, has bought them access. Maxwell used it to position herself as a legitimate philanthropist, someone who cares about important causes, someone who deserves to be in these rooms. Within weeks, Maxwell receives an invitation to speak at the Clinton Global Initiative, an annual gathering of world leaders and philanthropists. She's back. Now, the breakup in 2011. In 2011, Maxwell and Waite quietly end their romantic relationship. There are no tabloid stories, no public drama, just a private separation. But here's what's odd. Even after the breakup, Maxwell retains access to Plan B. She's photographed on the yacht in 2012, 13, and 14. She continues to use Waite's foundation connection. She speaks at events funded by his money. It's as if the relationship had never really been romantic. It had been transactional. Waite gave Maxwell money, access, and a yacht equipped with a submarine. Maxwell gave Waite what? That's the question no one has answered. Tara Mar, July 26, 2012. Ghislaine Maxwell stands on stage at the Blue Ocean Film Festival in Monterey, California. She's wearing a navy blazer. Her hair is pulled back. She speaks confidently. I'm thrilled to announce the launch of the Tara Mar Project, she says, a nonprofit dedicated to protecting the world's oceans, particularly the 64% that exists beyond any nation's jurisdiction. The audience applauds. Maxwell explains that international waters, also called the high seas, are being destroyed by pollution, illegal fishing, and climate change. But because they belong to no country, no one is protecting them. Tara Mar, she says, will be the voice for this forgotten wilderness. Over the next 7 years, she takes this message everywhere. The UN, TED conferences, Clinton Global Initiative events, features in the New York Times, The Guardian, and Vanity Fair. She's introduced as oceans advocate Ghislaine Maxwell or philanthropist Ghislaine Maxwell, never as Jeffrey Epstein's associate. The rebranding is complete. the financials. But here's what Tara Maher actually accomplished. The tax returns from 2012 to 2017, total grants awarded to other organizations, $0. Total program expenses, $874. Salary paid to Ghislaine Maxwell, $0. Amount Tara Maher claimed it owed Maxwell, $560,650. Tara Maher held no fundraising events. It funded no research. It cleaned up no beaches. It saved no oceans. So what was it for? The high seas loophole. International waters begin 200 nautical miles from any coastline. In this zone, no single country has jurisdiction. No Coast Guard patrols regularly. No customs inspections are required for private vessels. No flight logs or sailing logs are mandatory. It's a perfect place to move people without documentation. And Ghislaine Maxwell, who had submarine license, helicopter license, and access to a yacht with a submarine bay, was uniquely positioned to operate there. Tara Maher gave her a cover story. She could say she was doing ocean research. She could travel to international waters. She could host events on yachts, and no one would ask what she was really doing. In July 2019, after Epstein's arrest, drone operators flew over Little St. James, Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The footage revealed something shocking, an underground entrance on the island's rocky coastline. The entrance appeared to lead to a tunnel system beneath the island. Structural engineers who analyzed the images say it was consistent with a submarine docking facility. If true, this means people could arrive at Epstein's island underwater without appearing on any boat manifest, flight logs, or custom records. They could board a submarine in international waters, travel underwater, dock beneath the island, enter through the tunnel, and disappear. Who had the skills to operate such a system? Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, on March 20, 2006, Jeffrey Epstein hosted a scientific conference on gravity and cosmology in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. Among the attendees, Stephen Hawking, the world-renowned physicist. Let's see how much longer this is. Okay, this is almost done. We'll finish off here. Hawking was paralyzed by ALS and used a motorized wheelchair, was photographed in Little St. James. There are also reports that Epstein arranged for Hawking to take a submarine ride during his visit. Hawking reportedly wanted to see a coral reef. But where did the submarine come from? Some researchers believed it was connected to Plan B, the yacht owned by Ted Waite and frequently used by Ghislaine Maxwell. If true, it means Maxwell was facilitating high-profile visits to Epstein's island using underwater transport as early as 2006, years before Tara Maher officially launched. The submarine wasn't just for show, it was operational. Now, in July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein's private jet lands at the Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. He's returning from Paris. As the plane taxis to the private terminal, FBI agents and NYPD detectives surround it. Epstein is arrested on a tarmac. This is for sex trafficking minors and conspiracy. Within hours, the stories everywhere, cable news, front pages, social media. Investigators raid Epstein's Manhattan mansion. They find a safe containing cash, diamonds, and a fake passport. They raid his Palm Beach estate. They find photographs, hard drives, files, and then they turn their attention to his associates. One name comes up repeatedly, Ghislaine Maxwell. 6 days after his arrest, the Tara Maher Project posts a brief statement on its website. It is with deep regret that we announce the Tara Maher Project will cease all operations effective immediately. We have been unable to achieve our mission and will be closing down. The website goes dark, social media accounts are deleted, the phone number is disconnected. No explanation, no transition plan, no forwarding address. Just gone. Why would an ocean conservation nonprofit need to shut down the moment Jeffrey Epstein was arrested? Unless it had never really been about the ocean. For nearly a year, Ghislaine Maxwell vanished. The FBI couldn't find her. Reporters tracked her to Brazil, then France, then Massachusetts. She was using aliases, burner phones, moving every few weeks. Finally, on July 2nd, 2020, FBI agents raided a remote estate in Bradford, New Hampshire. They found Maxwell hiding in a small cottage on the property. She'd been living there using the name G. Max. She'd wrapped her cell phone in aluminum foil to block tracking signals. She'd been moving from room to room to avoid detection. She was arrested at 8:30 a.m. There's more in this that you guys go check out. I'll actually give this a retweet so you guys can check out the full thread. But I think you guys kind of get what I'm getting at. And if any of you guys, let me see if there's any of those photos of the... okay, I was seeing if I could find any photos of that one little hatch or whatever that goes into the ocean that a lot of people have been sharing in relation to the Epstein stuff. makes this seem a whole lot more relevant because you see this like hatch. A lot of people are like, oh, is that just where they're throwing the bodies, just chucking them into the ocean from inside the house? But it also could have been a submarine access thing. There's been plenty of people who have covered tunnels and stuff, and different weird places they could have been going underwater. So it kind of makes you wonder what the fuck is going on. Is she even dead? But with that, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Let's roll the chat one more time. See what else we got. Yeah, WC Coley saying less surgery or contouring, lots of makeup. Then yeah, that's not the same schnoz. Martin Mack says maybe she was wearing a skin mask the whole time. Maybe her dad was a spy. Good morning, Joe Bell. Good to see you here. He's saying he's a witness. I'm assuming maybe referring to Epstein. It is Little St. Jeff, says Martin Mack. Moon and Goocher says William Ramsey said he's dead. I think he's probably dead too, to be honest. GCD says 3 weeks after his alleged death, drone footage on YouTube account, Rusty Shackelford caught a man looking identical to Jeff and Little St. Jeff. Yeah, I've seen that before. I mean, it could just also be an older guy. I think it was like a top-down view, if I think. So it is kind of hard to tell, but yeah. He's saying active construction, Little St. James, and neighbor/bigger island, Great St. James, continued well after his death. Good morning, Audrey. Says we probably won't get another president who was found guilty of felonies and was found liable for sexual abuse. Please make sure you share his shit. This is very rare and very special. Yeah. Let me see what else we got in here. All right. I think we're all caught up, guys. I love you all. Please leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. If you want to support this show, let's say you can find us on Twitter as well, @TaraGangJose. If you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. You can see up here, QR code, use that. At the low level of $2, you get access to early episodes. I do about 1 to 2 of those per week. I try to. I've still been doing at least one, even with being more busy lately. But there's like 7 behind the paywall right now. I usually try to keep around 4 behind the paywall at a given time, but I've just, whenever times get tight and I don't have much time, one of the first things that's going to go to the wayside, just so you guys know, is publishing those paywalled episodes to become public. So if you are a patron, I will. When times get tight, I'm still trying to put out stuff. I just may not put it out for the public. So for the patrons, you get hooked up in those times, and this is one of them. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to the pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And I also give a big shout-out to my sponsors, which is the highest level of my Patreon at the end of every episode. Is a big thank you for their support. My previous co-host, Entire Gang, @LearnChode, also at Brigades, @ZOVRCK, @_Fizio, Tim Tell, @John Klebo, big fan of the show, Torment, @Wayne Techless, 100 Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jake Wintergrad, a Biblical Anarchy podcast. And with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy this outro. I hope you guys like... give me a second. Of course, StreamYard is glitching. Here we go. Enjoy this outro. I'll see you guys. Should see you guys tomorrow, give or take, around 11 a.m. Eastern. So be sure to like all that stuff. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
The Dow right now is over 50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. That's what we should be talking about. The Dow right now. S&P at almost 7,000. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
Let me address the survivors, because that's
how is the Dow.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators